Lester Roloff, Living by Faith, by Marie Brady Roloff. Chapter 1. Dauntless Faith. It is rare indeed in these times to find a man who is determined to live by his convictions. I am married to such a man. Not only does my husband, Lester Roloff, live by his convictions, but he lives by faith. The two, of course, are closely intertwined, but his faith and convictions have colored his personality, his prayer life, and his preaching. They have influenced all of his past and his present, and they will, I know, affect his future. Standing up for his convictions at one point in his ministerial career cost him the favor of one of the largest denominations in this country. Yes, that hurt. As his wife, I understandably suffered right along with him. In the process of standing up for his convictions, he has founded churches, Christian schools, and the Roloff Evangelistic Enterprises, a non-profit organization formed in 1951, which has developed and supports many projects of faith. In the process of standing up for his convictions, he has founded churches, Christian schools, and the Roloff Evangelistic Enterprises, a non-profit organization formed in 1951, which has developed and supports many projects of faith. His influence has been and is far-reaching. Because of the way God has used my husband, there are many hundreds of men and women in full-time Christian service around the world, and many more thousands of Christian laymen and laywomen, teenagers and boys and girls who have come into a vital relationship with Jesus Christ. In succeeding chapters, I want to share with you what has brought all this about. I am thankful to be the wife of a man whose life has touched so many others. Through the pages of this book, I want to take you to the city of Refuge in Culloden, Georgia, where on 273 acres there is a beautiful old antebellum home and lovely dormitories for housing alcoholics. There, the work of snatching men from alcoholism goes on day after day. The stories to come out of that place are miraculous. We will walk together through the peaceful valley home for Christians who have reached retirement age. This is the home of prayer, much prayer, where these men and women can live and still be of service to others. It is their prayers that have provided strong undergirding for the diverse work of the Roloff Evangelistic Enterprises. You will be amazed at the Anchor Home for Boys in Zapata, Texas, where young boys who have nowhere else to go are warmly welcomed, loved, and cared for. The home has a dormitory capacity of nearly 300, along with a cafeteria, dining room, gymnasium, and shop buildings. The Bethesda Home for Girls in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, is for girls who are in trouble. Before birth control pills and abortion were so common, the home took in pregnant, unwed girls. Today, there are still those who come in that condition, but other girls too are helped with their problems and are shown the love of Jesus. There is the Rebecca Home for Girls in Corpus Christi, Texas, near where we live. This home was opened in 1967, at the same time that the People's Church was begun. The Enterprise's offices are also on the grounds. Since the home was opened, we have taken in more than 2,000 girls, worked with them in their schooling and rehabilitation, and introduced them to the one who has the answers to life's complexities. There are 3 dormitories with a combined capacity of about 300. On 465 acres of farmland stand the Rebecca Home, the People's Church, the Rebecca Christian School, a bakery, a vehicle maintenance shop, a tractor and implement building, a hospitality house, our home, an aircraft hangar and runway, and house trailers for the workers who are connected with the school, the shops, the farm, and the homes. Here, too, we have vegetable gardens and cows and goats that supply milk for the home. The Rebecca Home in Corpus Christi has been the target of much controversy with the state of Texas, but my husband has stood firm in his convictions. As a result, he has spent time in jail. He has been brought before 9 judges of the Texas State Supreme Court. He has been engaged with the Texas Welfare Department in a battle that has cost great sums of money. My husband's name has been maliciously slandered, but the greater cost in all of this has been the heartache and harassment he has endured at the hands of those who would violate the separation of church and state. And not him alone, but all those who are supportive of this work, and the young people who had to be turned out of the homes. And the battle is not over. As this book is being written, my husband awaits word on the fate of this work as his case heads toward the highest court in the land, the United States Supreme Court. There is also the Lighthouse for Boys, which is 40 miles down the Intracoastal Canal from Corpus Christi and is accessible only by boat or plane. Living here are young men who have been imprisoned for various crimes. They are actually society's incorrigibles. At this time, a new lighthouse home and a cafeteria are being built on the Corpus Christi property. This dormitory will house 125 boys. My husband works to rescue them from long prison sentences. Here, as in the other Enterprises projects, my husband's unshakable faith and his strong convictions play a major role. Another vital phase of my husband's ministry is the family altar broadcast. It began in 1944 on a local 250-watt radio station and is currently heard on 160 radio stations across the nation, as well as in the Virgin Islands, the West Indies, and Hawaii. Daily devotional cassette tapes of messages by my husband are sent out in response to mail requests. Living by his convictions has been a costly venture for this dynamo of a man. This is not uncommon, however, for men and women in the forefront of the action. The pages of history, both secular and biblical, bear this out. A look at Hebrews 11, that great roll call of faith chapter in the Bible, confirms that the history of the nation of Israel and the early church was written by faith, often at the cost of the saints' blood. The biographies of men and women of past centuries reveal Christian heroism that we know very little of today. Flesh and blood people suffered and triumphed in other generations. One can scarcely imagine the dangers, hardships, and trials they were called to endure. I think of Adoniram and Ann Judson, who cast their lot among barbarians in Burma, and Mary and Robert Moffat, who bore with unflinching calm and good temper the perils, discomforts, and discord of travel into the interior of uncharted Africa to spend their lives in savage surroundings. So many others come to mind. John Williams and his wife Mary, laboring tirelessly among the natives of the South Sea Islands, and William Tyndale, whose translation of the Bible into English paved the way for the King James Version of the Bible. Tyndale was tried for treason and heresy against the church. He was condemned and strangled, and his body was burned. All of these people valued the gospel more than their lives, and they were prepared to stand for what they believed, even if it meant death. Their faith was dauntless. I don't feel it is an exaggeration to say that these early contenders for the faith have a present-day counterpart in the man I married. It is almost unthinkable today in this country that a man should be willing to go to jail for his convictions, but go to jail he did, and more than once. It is not surprising that the Texas newspapers have depicted my husband as a combination Elmer Gantry and Marjo, who goes around whipping little girls for God. The media have questioned the way our enterprises are supported financially, and they have poked fun at his radio broadcast and his manner of preaching. In this country, we don't burn men at the stake for holding to their convictions. We are not cannibalistic, so we do not eat our enemies, but civilized man has found other ways to punish those who run counter to the laws of the land. They are subjected to persecution and judgment that gnaw at the heart of a man who is innocent of ill intent. I often muse about the years since our marriage in 1936. Certainly I know Lester Roloff better than anyone else in the world. I have lived with him longer than members of his own family, and he tells me I am his best friend, and yes, his best critic, too. Certainly he has his shortcomings and imperfections, just as I do. The years together have been rich years of learning. In the process, we have both learned much, and we are still learning every day. In some ways, I feel inadequate to write about this man, even though I know him so well. More than one publication has stated that Lester Roloff is a complex man, and that no one knows him well. He may give that impression to others, and even at times to those who know him somewhat. But my husband is actually an open and honest individual. Perhaps it is this very thing, his honesty, that makes him so vulnerable to criticism. By and large, the world is not accustomed to dealing with a man of principles and integrity. Lester does not plot against people nor engage in intrigue. He does not flatter, neither does he praise much. He is just what he seems to be, a man of honor, a man who sticks by his word. Lester would be the first to tell you, "Look, I'm just a sinner saved by grace, a Christian called to preach the word of God." More than that, however, you will see that he is also a compassionate man.